Hi, this is Matt with Keep On Cruising, and today we're going to do a little cruise ship showdown. So let's get ready to see how this is all going to go down. The thing is a lot of times we have a set of times where we can take a cruise. We've got an itinerary that we're interested in. There's going to be a few choices. So if prices are similar, we're looking at a couple ships. How do we break that down? So today we're going to look at two ships that are similar in age, similar in size. They do similar type of itineraries, and I would say, cost wise, they're pretty comparable. And that's the Norwegian Gem and the Celebrity Reflection. And we're going to take a look at these ships head to head and compare them on 5 things. The first will be the ship itself, the overall design and layout, as well as the condition of the ship. Then we're going to look at food, both the included options as well as the pay options, and then the entertainment that's on board. Then we're going to look at casinos, and then the last thing we're going to look at is the service that they have on the ship overall, whether it's in the dining rooms, the bars, the casinos, guest services, room stewards, and all that. So let's break this down. Let's get this showdown underway. All right, and first up, we're going to look at the Norwegian Gem. The ship was built in 2007. It's around 94,000 gross tons. It holds around 2,400 passengers at full capacity. Big thing with this is it was fairly significantly renovated in 2022. So in 2022, they went through all the public spaces on this ship, and they really modernized it, and they brought it in line with the decor that you'll catch on their newest ships, like the Aqua, for example. So all the interiors are very bright and clean and modern. It feels like you're walking on a new ship, even though it was built in 2007. So pretty impressive with the update that they did. This ship has a lot of outdoor space on the top decks. If you want to find a quiet area, they've got sun decks that seem to always have, a lot of space to them, not too crowded. Really easy to get around. It's a very walkable ship. Overall, real happy with the Norwegian Gem. There's not really anything I can pick out as a bad thing on this ship as far as layout. All right, and next up is Celebrity Reflection. Celebrity Reflection was built in 2012. It's about 126,000 gross tons, holds around 2,900 passengers. This ship did get a slight update in 2022 at the dry dock. I think it was mostly dysfunctional things. Like the Gem, this is a very easy ship to get around. It's super walkable. It's got a lot of nice outdoor spaces. It's got the lawn club up on the top decks. It's got a really nice running/walking deck on there. It's got a lot of good areas overall, like the library and the hideaway. So you can really find your own areas, which we appreciate. However, they really haven't done much to update the interior decor since the ship was introduced in 2012. So right now, some of the public spaces, they look a little bit dated. They do look a little bit worn. Keep in mind, though, that in 2026, the Reflection is slated for a major update, and it will be brought in line more with their modern ships. All right, so let's break down this area. Ship head-to-head, Norwegian Gem, Celebrity Reflection, and we're going to give a slight edge to Norwegian Gem. Reason is because it's gotten the update. Even though it was built in 2007, it really does look like a new ship. Now, with the update coming with Reflection in 2026, this might change. We'll have to consider that after it happens. But we're going to move along. All right, and moving on to food, which is one of my favorite areas, and I think an important part of cruising to a lot of us. We're going to start with the Norwegian Gem. That way we can keep things in order. And on the Gem, there's basically 5 included options for food. The first being the main dining room. And they do have 2. They've got Grand Pacific, which is at the aft of the ship. It's got beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows and a nice aft view. And then Magenta, which is located on the side of the ship, still has ocean views. It's just not quite as big and expansive as Grand Pacific. The menus, however, are the same. We thought they did a good job of mixing it up from night to night as far as what was available. The variety was pretty good. The quality was very good. I'd compare it to like, a better chain restaurant like a Carrabba's or something like that. The food from night to night, we were never unhappy with it. One of the things that I think they stand out with here in the dining room is, for those of you on special diets, they kind of go out of their way for that. I'm a type 2 diabetic, and one of the things that I appreciated was every night they had no sugar added options for desserts available. A lot of cruise ships, they don't do that, but on Norwegian there's always a couple options every night. The second option that the Gem has available for free would be the buffet. Now they split the buffet into half. They've got an indoor section which is called the Garden Cafe, and then it continues outdoors and they call it the Great Outdoors. They have the same things really. The selection is fairly standard. It doesn't change too much day to day. It's got a good layout. It's clean, which we appreciate, and the quality of the food is fine. I wouldn't make it my main meal, but it's okay. Moving on, the next option that's available to you for free on the Gem is their neighborhood bar and grill, which on this ship is called Oceans. On some of the newer Norwegian ships it's called the Local. This is open almost 24 hours a day. It's table service. They got 3 different menus. They've got a breakfast menu, which is kind of traditional American stuff: bacon, eggs, pancakes, omelets, that type of thing. They've got a lunch dinner menu, which is more pub fare. They've got burgers, fish and chips, Reubens, chicken wings, all that type of stuff. And then they've got their late night menu. Their late night menu is basically just a slimmed down version of the lunch and dinner menu. The next option, the fourth included option that they have on the Gem, is Orchid Garden. Orchid Garden is an Asian table service included restaurant. This is open for dinner. You could go wait in line. It's highly recommended with Asian Garden because it does get quite busy. To go there on the first day and get a reservation to come in, that would be my recommendation. And then the last included option they have is Topsiders Bar and Grill. Topsiders is up on the Lido deck. That's the pool area. And it's basically open for lunch with traditional cookout type of foods, burgers, dogs, and all of that. Once we get past the included meals and we move on to the specialty dining on Norwegian. Specialty dining is a pretty big thing with Norwegian. They're always going to load up their ships with this. Their program, More at Sea, if you take advantage of it, you'll always get at least one included specialty dinner option, which I highly recommend. On this ship, they've got a total of 6 different options for specialty dining. They have Le Bistro, which is the French restaurant. They have Cagney's, which is their steakhouse. They've got La Cucina, which is their Italian restaurant. They've got Moderno Churrascario, I hope I said that right. That's their Brazilian steakhouse. They've got Teppanyaki, which is their hibachi place, and then they've got a sushi bar. The food in their specialty dining is always been excellent every time we've gone there. It's a real step up. Highly recommended. All right, moving on to Celebrity Reflection. And Celebrity Reflection, it has, we'll call it 3.5 included food options. They have the main dining room. Main dining room we thought was quite solid. I think quality of the food there was very similar to the Gem. No complaints about what they had. The variety wasn't quite as good as what you get on the Gem. They tended to repeat both entrees as well as appetizers and desserts a little bit more than what Norwegian did. They refreshed it more. One of the big things for me, as I mentioned before, Celebrity, when it comes to looking out for people with special diets doesn't do quite as good. And when it comes to no sugar added desserts, they don't have any options besides ice cream, and that didn't change. So that's been fairly disappointing, but that's just the way it is. So other than that, it was solid. We enjoyed it. And moving on, the second option that they have on Reflection is the buffet. Now the buffet on Reflection in every celebrity ship we've been on is excellent. The selection they have is better than any other ships that we've been on. You'll always find something unique. One day we even got ceviche on the buffet at lunch. It was super fresh and so good. Layout is nice. It's easy to get around. It's never crowded. It's always clean. So kudos to Celebrity. Your buffet rocks. The third option that they have is up on the Lido deck, kind of like with the Gem, and they call this Masked Grill. Masked Grill is basically like a cookout, just like it was on the Gem. So it's burgers, it's hot dogs, it's fries. It's fine. It's just open for lunch. It does give you another option. It's kind of in a quieter spot too, so it never gets too busy there. And then the half an option is in the adults area in the solarium, and it's the spa cafe. And I'm going to give it like a half an option because, number one, the hours are kind of limited. They normally have a sign up there. You can see when they're going to be open, but it's typically just like light bites. So, around breakfast time, they might have a selection of fruits, maybe some granola and some, yogurt, things like that. Around lunch, they might put out some small appetizers. So it's not really a full meal, but you can get food there. So yeah, that's your included options for eating on Reflection. Let's move on to specialty dining on the Reflection. And they also have 6 options. And your 6 options on Reflection are Le Petit Chef. And this is kind of unique. They have a 3D animated chef that they project down onto your table that will make your meal. So technology and a good experience for food. They've got the Tuscan Grill, which is their Italian steakhouse. One of the nice things about this is it sits at the aft of the ship, and kind of like the Grand Pacific Norwegian Gem, it's got huge floor-to-ceiling windows. You get a great aft view from there. They've got Murano, which is their French restaurant. And then once we go up to the top deck to the lawn, they've got 2 more specialty dining places up there. They've got the Porch, and then they've got the Lawn Club Grill. And one more that they have hidden away is Sushi on 5. So that's your specialty dining options for Reflection. All right, so I guess let's break this down head to head. And as we look at it, I think the specialty dining is pretty comparable. When you look at included dining, I think, Norwegian gets an edge when it comes to the included more casual things, like having Oceans, I think, is a big plus. Reflection doesn't really have anything like that. However, if you look at the buffets, it's the exact opposite. And the Gem, while it's a solid buffet, it doesn't compare to the buffet on Reflection. So I think for food, we're going to call this a draw. All right, and moving on to entertainment, starting again with Norwegian Gem. The first thing I would say is the cruise director on Gem was super enthusiastic and seemed to be everywhere, which kind of set the mood for everything. So that was great. We went to 3 different shows in the main theater. The first was a production show. It had a live band and performers. That was very good. We really enjoyed that. Another night they had a comedian. It was just a solo act. It was solid. He was funny. I mean, we enjoyed it. And then the third night was Deal or No Deal, the game show. It's a game show. Would I have preferred a production show? Yes, for sure. But the host was very engaging. The contestants were a fun time. So, yeah, it was good. They also have all over the ship at night in the different bars, as well as in the atrium and some of the common spaces. There's lots of live music going on. And then, during the day, there's different things like trivia. So they have a lot of stuff. Overall, I would say that the quality of the entertainment was maybe average plus. If it was on a scale of 5, it's maybe 3.5. It was fine. It's not going to compare with, Icon of the Seas or something like that. But yeah, it was good. All right, moving on to Celebrity Reflection. And on Reflection, we also caught 3 shows in the main theater. It was a similar mix to what we got on Gem. One night was a full production show with, musicians and performers. That was very good. Another night they had a comedian. He was okay, not quite as good as the guy on the Gem. It was all right. And the other night was like a solo performer. He was an illusionist, and that was basically. But overall, I would say, it was fine. It's maybe like a 3 out of 5. So when it comes to entertainment, we're going to give this one to Gem and move on. All right, and moving on to one of my other favorite parts of cruising, and that's the casino. So the NCL Gem, the casino was updated when they updated the rest of the ship. It looks nice and clean. Layout is great. There's plenty of space to get around. They've got a good selection of both new and classic slots, as well as plenty of tables in there. There's really no complaints about that other than the casino host. We asked him a few questions. He was quite rude and unfriendly. Didn't appreciate that. And, if you're looking for comps from the casino program, this isn't the cruise line to do that. But overall, we had a good time. We spent a little bit of time in there, and it was good. All right, moving on to Celebrity Reflection. Like the Gem, they had a great mix of both the latest games as well as some of the classic games when it comes to slots. They had a lot of table games. They have a very nice bar in the Celebrity Reflection Casino. It's got a good vibe. It's got TV show and live sports, and it's right off one of the main public areas too. So even if you're not in the casino, it pulls people in. And then one of their big advantages is they've got a great casino program. So if you're looking for some comps, they have a list out on their casino desk, and they'll tell you how many points you need, and they'll give you a free cruise. So we definitely appreciated that. We had a great time on Celebrity Reflection in the casino. So casino, head-to-head, Gem versus Reflection, and we're going to give the edge to Celebrity Reflection and move on. All right, and our final area that we're going to look at is service, which is very important because service can make the difference, of course, between a great experience cruising and just an absolutely terrible experience. And I'm happy to say that the service on Norwegian Gem was really first class. We've got no complaints with the service we received. Everything from, the room steward, who was super engaging and friendly. He took care of anything that we needed, to the dining staff, which was excellent. We never had to wait more than a couple minutes to get a seat. Our food came right out. A nice ad that they had for both the main dining room and the specialty dining rooms was they've added sommeliers. So each night somebody would come around the sommelier and he'd find out what we were planning to have, and he'd make suggestions for what wines might go with that, which was a nice touch. Bar service was excellent as well. Whether you walked right up to the bar or you got a table, service was quick and got to us. We never had to wait too long for a drink. Guest services was super friendly. Everybody seemed to be happy and smiley as we walked around. It was just a nice experience all around. And then with Celebrity Reflection, Service was also really first class, no complaints at all. One of the nice things with Celebrity is they still have twice a day room service, which was fantastic, and our room steward was super efficient. I think he was a wizard because he was in and out, and we were never in the way. Dining service, also excellent. We never had to wait. Like Norwegian, they've got a sommelier that would come over each night, and on reflection, the sommelier that we had was amazing. We never waited for a glass of wine, ever. Same thing when it comes to guest services and bar service. Friendly, quick, no waits, no complaints. It was really good. All right, so service, they were both so good it's hard to pick one, so we're going to call that a draw. All right, so Cruise Ship Showdown, number 1, Norwegian Gem versus Celebrity Reflection. And how does it pan out? As we break this down, we've got overall ship with the slight edge going to Gem. Food, we've got even, that's a draw. Entertainment, we've got a slight edge going to Gem. Casino, we've got a nice edge going to Reflection. And then in terms of service, we've got that at a draw. So that leaves the final score is 2 for Norwegian Gem, 1 for Celebrity Reflection, and 2 as a draw. So this first version of Cruise Ship Showdown is going to go to Norwegian Gem. Thank you again for watching. We hope you enjoyed this first episode of Cruise Ship Showdown. If you can think of any other things you'd like to see us cover in an upcoming video, please put that down there in comments. If you've got any agreements or disagreements, if you've been on either Gem or Reflection, put those down there too. I'd love to see them. Once again, this is Matt for Keep On Cruising. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe.